All right. We have 3.
We are!
Yay!
All right.
We just had to restart it 3 times. So let's do this. All right, ladies, welcome. Everyone,
I think though that neither of us are on from the Revolutionary.
No,
so
I know. It's okay.
We did
our best, right?
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. We're with the Revolutionary Women, who are some amazing baddies in Northern California. They are amazing women who just are leading the most amazing community of women leaders to able to hold space for each other, to create community, to talk about sexuality, talk about sisterhood, talk about healing, so much more. So yeah, go ahead, ladies, go ahead and tell us about your amazing collective and what's going on with you guys.
So this is just hilarious. Like just trying to get on here and stuff, and it just like a big part of what's going on with us is Linda just had a baby.
Yes.
Baby's here, right? So baby's here. Linda just had a baby. So as women, we are evolving and our business is evolving too. And I think that Linda kind of mentioned before on the other live we tried where I couldn't get on is that, we're shifting our energy away from Instagram and moving it and kind of creating creating our own social media platform over at Mighty Networks because we're tired of being shadow banned and blocked and censored for talking about womanhood.
And so the new platform will help you guys. Is it also going to be like a new aspect of your women's circle? Because you do the women's circles. Is that going to be like a more interactive way for you guys to be able to do those as well?
Yeah. So what it's going to be is that we're putting our whole business there. So that means all of our online courses, our communities, everything will be under one place because we do different trainings. You know, Linda's a Reiki master, so she does Reiki training. I have a background in interior design, so I do this decluttering program. So we have lots of stuff that we offer our community. And a big part of that is, women's circles. So we have a membership where we hold space for the women that are really committed to their journeys. But part of this platform, what we're hoping to do is create really like community events. So you can join our platform, become a part of our community, but you could have access to Linda's going to create a mom's group. We're going to have another sister wants to step up and start doing community circles, which would be donation based. So if you don't have a big budget to do this work, you could still be a part of this community, be held, and go to different events. There's going to be a book club. There'll be full moon like gatherings and play dates. So there's going to be a lot that we're going to build out and just have it be a safe place to talk about womanhood and the bloody mess that could be. That's like what we're starting saying. The bloody mess that womanhood
the bloody mess.
Yes, of course.
Make that the mission statement. I love it.
Yeah. And so in your women's circles, women get together and they share their traumas, whatever's happening with them, just a safe space to hold space.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's because sisterhood, we in our own lives, we just like notice how much it's changed our life, right? To have these conversations together with other women and be honest and raw and like, because there's so much not talked about. Like even for me now going through like postpartum, like there's so much things that I was not aware of or like even talk about periods, menstruation or masturbation, sexuality, right? It's like, so the idea of the Revolutionary Woman was also to really have women come together, not just share, but also like have them rise. So that's why we were so excited about this new community that we're creating, where women can also have host their own events. So we're like more a platform for them also to rise and like try out things, right? Maybe they're not ready for their own Instagram, and it's hard nowadays to grow on Instagram. So you have to really know like the insides and out, how to use it. So if we already have a platform, the idea of just, try it out and like rise together. And I feel really excited about, this new way of approaching our business and like really stepping away. Like we're going to have our things, but then having the community, the sisterhood really like, raise their voices.
Amazing. Yeah. I love that. That's such a good way to just put the resources in people's hands that they need. Because like you said, Instagram can be difficult to be found and just to coordinate events on there, but to have a place to find yourself, right? To get your foot wet and dabbling and hosting events and hosting those conversations for the women around you. That's super special.
Yeah. Well, and it's also when you start to do this work, it can be hard, right? Like navigating that. And even I was having a call with a client yesterday, and she was like created this beautiful workshop. And afterwards, her cup was completely depleted because she didn't do these like energetic practices that she needed to do to ground herself and to protect her own energy. So like that's a big part of what Linda and I do is actually training feminine leaders. And we do that through through circle. Like that's the first step into our container is sitting in circle with us, because part of that is like you actually get to know Linda and I as women. Like we're sitting next to you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's just powerful. And it feels like an old school way of teaching, you know, that is really rooted in the feminine and really being there for each other. And it's just, yeah, I mean, we just want to see the women of the world rise, but really the women in our community.
Yeah, that's where you can start first is your community. You know, you
Yeah.
don't have to think, obviously we all want to think global, but I mean, you start small within your own community and then there'll be a ripple effect of
Yeah.
a phenomenon. But I think what right now is it's so crucial because we've been so separated due to COVID and we've been so just connected digitally. I mean, this is beautiful. Like I feel so honored just to be able to do this with you guys. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, being able to hold space for that one for women just to talk and just to push each other energetically to get things motivated. Because if not, we're just like alone a lot of the time too.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, I think that the good thing about all of this is that people see the value. Even like you can still gain so much from going to a workshop from your own home.
Yeah.
And so maybe like, you know, myself, a new mom, or people that are not, you know, busy, or maybe you want to work with people like we have now, you know, women in other places that can work with us, not just in San Francisco where we used to be located. So it's kind of cool. The only thing I missed was sitting in circle, because the way we teach is like sitting literally in circle, an altar in the middle. We don't have presentations. It's all just like, so I think I do miss that, like really like the genuine, like instead of being connected through a screen. But I know in the future we're going to host retreats and stuff again and like be connected. But I must say just the fact that we can reach women, or, you know, that we met you ladies too, like, people actually want to hear these conversations now online as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, definitely. I mean, because this is one of the only places we can for now still, right? So it's like, if we're still not comfortable to meet up with everyone, we still can't sit in these types of circles. So we just got to take what we can get, which is like the digital conversations. And these conversations do help people a lot. They learn a lot. You know, the digital place is good and bad, right? It has its good and it has its bad. And one of the goods is that it helps us connect worldwide with people that want to hear your message. And you guys have so much wisdom and just so much amazing energy to share that we love chatting with you guys. And so that's why we wanted to bring you on and just have you share some of like this ancient wisdom that you guys have tapped into and just and share it with us. Yeah.
So
and then wrapping it up, but sorry, continue.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, just like and then wrap it up in a conversation in like an hour. It's always like that's always how it is,
but go ahead, Laura. Sorry. I was going to say, so when we talked for our podcast, so we did a podcast with you guys, episode 26 from season 3. And when we chatted, there was something that I love that you guys share with us, which was you really tap into your body and where you are, like within your cycle, and that determines how you're going to like live your life. Can you guys tell us about that a bit? I know, Linda, you're probably like finding a new way of interacting with your cycle, but just kind of tell us some information about how maybe you don't meet those particular deadlines on the days when you're like, you know, going through a certain period of like your phase.
Okay. So I'll start because I am still on the like menstrual cycle and that cycle. I mean, even from when Linda and I created our business like a few years ago, I mean, I've completely restructured how I live my life. And I would say like I am on like cyclical. Like I live cyclically, so that means I live really in tune with the seasons of the earth, my own menstrual cycle, and the rhythms of the moon. So really tapped into like the energy of what's going on all around me and within me. And so one of the ways that shows up is like, we don't do deadlines anymore. Like we do not set deadlines. Like we stopped that a while ago. And because we always want to make space for our healing too. You know, like we often have a conversation that sometimes when you're deep in shadow work, like healing's a fucking full-time job. Like it can feel like that, you know? So we make space for that because that is a part of the work. The more that we heal, the stronger, like bigger container that we could hold for the world, for the evolution that's happening here. So taking care of ourselves is our number one priority when it comes to work. And one of the ways that, like for my self-care, it's all centered around my menstrual cycle. So that means, you know, this month I really, during my bleed from day 27 to day 2. So your menstrual cycle starts on day 1, which is the day that you begin your bleed. So from like the couple days before to the couple days after, I pretty much cleared my calendar. I didn't have to show up for anything. I think I showed up for one like new client call, one coaching call, and then Linda and I were doing work, but it wasn't like my to-do list wasn't ruling my life. I put it aside. And so I was in complete flow with the tasks that I was doing, but I didn't have to really show up to anything. And my bleed was so much easier. I had a little bit of cramps, and I mean, I feel so completely energized and rejuvenated from taking just those few days to really nurture and like care for my body. And mind you, I'm single, I'm not a mom, and I work for myself. But those are also all choices that I've made. Like I've created this life to care for myself in this way. And then so like right now I'm kind of getting into more of my masculine phase of my cycle. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to gear it up. Like I know that for the next 2 weeks, I can take massive action. I can show up for things like this. I'm like, okay, I need to schedule Instagram posts. I want to write. I want to like schedule newsletters and do those sort of things. Whereas when I really go into more of my feminine side of my cycle, I'm like, nope, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to be plugged in doing this sort of thing. So it's just, and starting to learn it too, because it changes, right? And the more that I do this, the more that I'm actually learning about myself, what I need, and then learning to voice those needs too. Like that's been a hard part of it, is like, hey, this is where I am and this is what I need. Because a lot of times I think women, or just humans in general, one, don't know what they need and have a hard time voicing their needs.
Yeah. That's pretty powerful, just to sync yourself, because I think like it's such old wisdom to do that, but I think we just basically kept pushing ourselves and kind of pushing this toxic productivity like online and through social media. So I would love to sit down with Liz and do that maybe in the next few months, like cycling with our flow,
can we get on the same cycle? And then we're like, no, Laura, no deadlines.
Sometimes we like push ourselves and it's like it kind of gets there but doesn't get there. It's probably because we're not in our feminine flow.
For us, I think we realized also when we did that, it's the launches did not go well. To be honest, when we really pushed when we shouldn't, it didn't really go as we wanted it. So we realized, well, wait, what are we teaching? We're teaching feminine leadership. We're teaching women to be in their own power and like really like honor your bodies. I know some women that are feeling great on their bleed, right? They feel like really energized and like they want to do things, and that's okay too. But it's more like we teach about just getting to know yourself, because I don't know, for myself, I think we talked about this last time. Before I was really tracking my cycle and being aware of my body, I was making myself wrong, and I literally thought so many times that I was crazy or something was wrong with me, because one week I was so energized and my brain was firing, and then a week after I was sluggish and my brain, so I thought there's something wrong. Why have a brain fog? I need more coffee. And it just like it ruined so much in my body, and like I was tired and stressed out, and like and then you drink even more coffee and then your adrenals are it's
it's a toxic cycle that you get into. That you get into this toxic cycle, but you don't realize it's a toxic cycle because nobody talks about this. You've never been taught anything in a different way. So you think that the 9-to-5 grind, the deadlines, the hustle is the way to live. And it is for some people. And it is for me for 2 months or 2 weeks each month. That is good. Like I am all there. But women are not linear. We can't go all the time. We are cyclical and we really ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
you
we're really
guys,
forced. It's like we're really
yeah.
forced to be kind of
Dysfunctional.
living in this masculine world, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like we always need to be like on this masculine grind, masculine energy, do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, society really values that, right? So
Mhm.
society really values the grind, which is ridiculous because it leads to burnout, and there's so much dis-ease happening in the world, like in the world, on the planet, within the human like species, for wherever there's disease everywhere.
Mhm.
And that is, I think, a big part of the way that we're living lives, and that we think we have to live this like structured grind,
Yeah.
masculine, go, go, go,
Yeah.
domination kind of life.
Yeah, and it's weird because I can't imagine like I feel like it's almost like spring is here and like the human race is trying to gear up again to go back to normal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's like I was like I wonder how everyone's kind of balancing with that. I mean, it's and on top of on top of all the crazy news,
Yeah.
so
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
are running to like get back to like that quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, whoa, I'm like, no. Who knows, but
Yeah. But thank you
No,
guys.
but
So
it also
anyone
like
who's watching, check out the Revolutionary Women Instagram because they have amazing links. I know you guys are switching over the platforms, but they have amazing like content for you guys to sync up with your cycle.
yes,
we're gonna continue being on Instagram too,
Yes.
and like show our. It's just gonna be maybe less, not the same kind of energy we used to put in. Like really, like we schedule so many posts now. We're gonna have one post a day, and like I mentioned before this live, that we're gonna more highlight other women that we are inspired by. Women in our community, but also like outside our community. We're just like feeling that they have a voice that we want to, like put on our platform, and then continue doing our quotes and everything like that. So we're still gonna be on the social media or Instagram, but as people want to have the deeper conversations and like really like work with us, I think that you can come and join us on Mighty Networks, where we're not going to be banned for the things we talk about, which we think. I think that that's the sad thing too. Like when it comes to everything we talk about, it's not, it's such a normal part of just being a person. It doesn't matter who you are, like.
Yeah, because you're not formatting it in a way that breaks community guidelines. Like, it's not like you're posting photos of like naked people or like it literally is just information. So that's definitely what makes it difficult. I did want to ask if for our listeners that might want to kind of have like a little bit of a breakdown of what are the cycles, like when do you go into like the masculine part of like your cycle? When is it like the part that you need to rest, and then what do you do when you're on your actual cycle?
Yeah. I want to start with saying that everyone is different.
Okay.
So this is like an overview of like how some people experience it. This is how Linda and I experience it, but there are definitely other people in our community that experience it in a different way. Like when I'm bleeding, I need to go inwards. I don't want to have anything to do with the world. There's some women in our community, when they bleed, they are in definitely more of an outgoing place. They feel good. They feel lit up. So really the first step is always, no matter even what you relate with gender wise, to just like tuning into your own body, starting to listen to your own body, and even just like the cycles of the earth. So like what season we're in, because things are going to change if we are in spring, summer, fall, and winter, right? So all of that, it's going to shift. Your cycle is going to shift throughout the year, but it's also going to shift with the rhythms of the moon. So there's a lot going on here, but it's always about like tuning in and what's true for you.
Okay.
Okay. So that's like, we always like to start there, because humans are not all the same. We are all very different, and we are all very beautiful in that difference. So just really, it's always about tuning in with your own wisdom. But so we like to say that women go through 4 seasons a month. So think of the 4 seasons of the world, the earth. So spring, summer, fall, winter. So think about how different all of those seasons are. So women experience those 4 seasons every single month. Winter is when we bleed. So that's day 1 of your menstrual cycle and so that's when you really like enter winter. And then once you're kind of coming out of your bleed, you enter spring, which becomes more of your masculine phase of your cycle. And then you go into summer. And think about summer, like we're kind of entering, you know, spring, summer right now. The sun is shining. You definitely feel like you can do more. You want to like maybe be a little bit more outgoing. You want to socialize. There's that same energy that you can be aligned with your menstrual cycle.
Got it.
And then think about when then like autumn, fall comes and you start going inwards. That's like then you're approaching your feminine phase of your cycle. And then after autumn, then you go into winter and then you're bleeding.
And that makes sense too. And that's even tied to like the things that maybe you should be eating, right? Like, because, so it's like winter, when your body's going through winter, you're bleeding, you should be eating like warm things, nourishing things, like stews and things that just kind of like feed. Yes.
Totally. And if you eat meat, like it's a great time. Like, yeah, a stewy, like beefy deliciousness.
Heavier food. Where in summer you might want to have more cold food, salads, and same thing with your energy, the way you work out. You know, like some people tend to, again, women tend to push themselves equally hard throughout the month. Whereas like if you're more cyclical living, you then adjust even your workouts. So you can even, because then you can harness your own energy to the fullest. And if you're wanting to lose weight or whatever your goals are, you actually can get to them faster if you actually listen to your body. So if you then, maybe if you, when you bleed, you're more in winter season, mommy brain. Then you can like do maybe yin yoga and like slow down a little bit, you know, and then you can do your HIIT workouts when you're ovulating.
Got it.
That's going to really like working with your body, and your body's not going to be producing more cortisol and be more stressed if you push yourself equally throughout the month. And again, Emily said some women experience their winter when they ovulate, so it's different. And something we also teach about is the cyclical living. You don't have to bleed. You don't actually have to have a bleed to, you know, Emily mentioned that you can go with the seasons or the moon. There's so many ways, you know, and I know that some, you know, and some, even when it comes to, we work with a lot of women that bleed that don't like their period. They really, really don't like it. So that you can like unpack that too. And really, it's maybe not about feeling like joyous and like love your blood, but then you can have better understanding and feel more empowered throughout the rest of your cycle. Or
you can learn to go ahead.
Oh, so I was gonna say, so for self-identifying women, they could just base like how they're feeling on like the moon and kind of connect to that, and then really kind of tap into that energy.
Absolutely. Like really start there and start with, and we have a tracker. We do have, so everything's a mess right now with our website and like everything, but we do have a freebie. So if anyone wants it, you can even just like DM us and we can get you a link and send that to you. But we have a freebie where it talks about all of this. And then there's a tracker in it, which is a wheel and has space for different moon signs. So really just, okay, what's the moon sign today? Okay, it's a full moon. Like, wow, like I feel irritable. I feel angry, or, you know, or whatever you're feeling, and really start to get to know that and just how am I feeling in my body now? You know, and just doing this check-in with yourself in your own body. And then also then you can start kind of weaving in maybe the seasons of the actual seasons of Earth.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. I feel like, you know, I mean, I feel like if we tap into this knowledge sooner rather than later, you really can harness your power as a woman. And I feel like we always kind of put it last. So you guys, I definitely put in their tag, the Revolutionary Woman, DM them, and they have that freebie on that they can send it to you guys. It's just a PDF, which is really amazing. And
called the Period Revolution. So it's really fun.
Yes.
Awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah, that's so great.
And for everyone who's listening, please check out their episode 26 on the Conscious Kitchen podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, and everything. That is such a powerful episode for the Revolutionary Woman. So go ahead and please check that out also. Yeah,
it's such a great episode. So it goes even more into depth on what we're talking about today, since our time is limited. But really, it's a great episode, and so much knowledge from Emma and Linda. So I'd love to get into some of the topics that are shadow banned from Instagram, which is like sexuality, right? And so you guys, you both shared a post a few weeks ago, or maybe shortly, that it was about masturbating, right? And that when you masturbate, when you're on your actual period, that you can have like a stronger orgasm, which was like, I was like, I think I knew that, but when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow. So what other kind of things like that do you have to share with like with the listeners?
Ooh, something really, not just that, but when it comes to, you know, having an orgasm, actually like manifesting. So whatever, if you actually like, of course you want to be, you know, if you're with a partner, maybe you like want to be with a partner, but if you're, you know, having an orgasm with yourself, that you can actually have set an intention, and that actually like multiplies not multiplies, expands like it's like something with the way you manifest. So you really like can draw in that more into your life, because like the moment is like time almost stands still, even though it's like seconds.
Amazing.
That you actually can manifest. So that's something that we always talk about, like not just, you know, and I think that's so that post, I think it's for us, we want to empower women that, you know, to actually explore themselves, so like be in tune with themselves even on their bleed.
Yeah.
Because there's something not just like orgasms, but also like, you know, writing or like tuning into yourself. Their connection to everything is so much, your sense of smell and everything is so much heightened. So that's why like having an orgasm, even though it might feel, I don't know about that, you know, because a lot of people feel like really gross, or women
Dirty, like they feel
dirty,
it's dirty, because
because I
that's what's
think we
also
put
been
on.
taught. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. Even though it's like, yeah, I mean, yes, I'm sure, yeah, just putting it out there on a quantum level, like once you're doing it, I'm sure, yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah. And so do you manifest like before it happens, or like, yeah, or
No,
while?
like what I do is like really like envision, maybe it's like a vision you see, like you really want that job or something. And then once your orgasm hits, like you just like put your energy towards, you almost see it in front of you, like you visualize it. That's what works. I mean, yeah, I've seen great things happening from that. And like you just focus on that, the beautiful moment, you know? Same thing if you're with a partner, like just focusing on that your partner and like the love you feel for that person, instead of like being elsewhere, like really being in the moment of vision, like that's also really can bring deeper connection to your partner. So it's like, but if you want to do a manifestation, try it. Like have one idea of like something you want to really focus your attention on once like you have the orgasm.
That is so beautiful. I love that. Wow.
Well, and we also get a lot of people like that DMS that, you know, have a hard time having orgasms, that don't feel comfortable like masturbating or like pleasuring themselves. And, you know, I think that that's one of the beautiful things about cyclical living and tuning in with your menstruation cycle and stuff, where it gives you a deeper connection just to your body in a whole. It's about like exploring yourself and learning about yourself so you can care for yourself. And it's just this really loving way of showing up for yourself, you know, and it's just, and that's why we think is like masturbation and orgasms are self-care.
Yeah.
Like that's how we see it. It's a way to nurture yourself, and like, yes, and it feels really fucking good. And you can like manifest while you do it, you know, but yeah, it's just this really self-loving way of being with yourself, and it's only about you, right? It's really,
Yes, and never, and just want to say, like, for people that like that they have different sexualities, like maybe they don't need sex as often, maybe like it's like, don't be shameful about like what you are, because everyone's sexuality is so different. It's you have to just work on accepting what it is that you are and where you're at in your sexual journey, and then I think you could tap into more of like these things that we're discussing.
Yes,
I think
exactly.
That's something we really, you know, we talk about menstruation period, all these things, but it's not about like you have to be a certain way. We're like, if you want to start baby steps, it's more like the self-discovery. Like all these tools is for you to get to know yourself better. I mean, for myself now, being postpartum, like I have to rediscover and relearn my body and like, you know, what pleasure means, or like even if I wanted, you know, because it's I gave birth vaginally to a baby 2 months ago, you know, things have changed, you know, I'm healing, and just learning that also, and having a new appreciation for women and what women go through. And I think that, you know, it's a lot of shame around that too. Like there's a lot of shame around being a mom, and like maybe you actually want to have sex, you know, but you can't really. So what do you do then? You know, it's like, or if, yeah, exactly, when you're bleeding and like you're taught that it's gross to even like, you know, but maybe you're also like, you're feeling all these emotions, like, well, explore, you know, it's like, it's okay to have those feelings and want to like, you know, discover things for yourself, and or not, right?
And have those conversations, right? Like with your
Yes.
partner, because I think there needs to be like a re-education of like of the male figures of the world, right? That they need to also understand that a woman's period is not a disgusting time, that it's not something to be like ugh about, you know? So it's like having those conversations with your partner, having them like own whatever it is that they think, and just helping them reframe their thoughts on periods and blood and all that things, and all those things, so that potentially you guys can get closer or whatever, just to kind of help break down that stigma. Because sexuality and periods, like there are so many taboos, and we can only break them down if we discuss and communicate.
Yeah, and I think that it's not like it's, I mean, I have a boy. It's a boy. He's going to hear these conversations as he grows up, right?
Yes.
This is just, and I want that. And I think that it's not the men's fault out there either, right? It's the way society was kind of pushed on, and like, you know, in schools and everything. So it's like, how do we relearn and have, it's by us also, yeah, sharing our voices, sharing with our partners. And like, even if, you know, it's, I am always get sad when I hear that partners say that, you know, it is gross, but then, yeah, exactly. But how do you know, talk about it? Like, how can we unpack, where does that come from? Like, do you really think it's gross? You know?
Yeah, and sex is hard to talk about. You know, it is a really, it's very difficult to talk about with your partner. Like I know, my partner and I talk about it often, but it can be a frustrating conversation. And so we have a listener, a viewer here, Ro. She said her and her husband had to relearn like sexy time after they had their baby, and I'm sure that it was like communication that really helped them. And so it's good to just be having this conversation to let people know that it's okay to have these conversations, and know they're not going to be easy all the time.
Yeah, and I think that that's also like, so sometimes I know, luckily for me, I have like my communication with my husband is, it's open, and we can talk, and like, you know, we have to find other ways right now to be intimate, you know, but we communicate about that. It's just like, it's not the way we used to do it, but it's a new way. And this is, you know, and I think that that's why we also, me and Em, really want these conversations for some women that don't have that with their partners, or, you know, that you can actually have a place you can come and like, hey, I'm struggling with this, like, help me. Like, you know, maybe sometimes you don't want to have an advice, maybe you just want to share, like, this is what I'm going through right now. And that's what we love Sisterhood, and like the community we created. So, you know, women can just come and share from their experience, or what they're going through, or their struggles. So
yeah. Can't wait for you guys to develop that. It's going to be amazing and so helpful for your community. Oh my gosh, so cool. And yeah, we keep sending our community over to you guys too, because you know, we think that what you guys have is just so priceless. The knowledge, you know, better to learn now than later, literally.
Yeah, and it's never too late to learn too, you know. It's never too late to learn.
It's never too late to learn. Never. I mean, doesn't matter. Like, we've had women come to our circles, or in our community, or clients that are, you know, in their menopause, in their menopause. I can't. Menopausal.
Menopause.
Yeah, because, you know, it's like, it's never too late to discover who you are and your body, and like, you know, and it's gonna change with the seasons. Just how we talked about season of the month, like, you're gonna change depending on the season you're in. You know, sometimes you might feeling, you know, springtime, you might feeling really excited about things, and then wintertime you're like, oh, I don't want to have, you know, be intimate with anybody, you know, even my partner. So yeah.
And it's really about, like, when we've said this multiple times, but just like tuning in with yourself, right? Like, we don't believe that we don't live in a world where there's absolute truth, that it's black or white. Like, we believe your whole self is welcome. And that's what we really hold space for. And, you know, we are always like, what works for me may or may not work for you. But we're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to hold space for your growth and transformation.
Yeah.
We'll give you some tips. Yeah, we'll give you tools and tips, and take what works and leave what doesn't, because it might not all work for you, which is totally okay.
And tools and tips, and there was something that I learned from you guys that, like, I think Laura and I, it was really revolutionary to us. It was about holding space, right? And holding space doesn't always mean offering tips and advice. Sometimes it just means listening and being there and not saying anything. And we learned that from you. And thank you so much for just like blowing our mind with that, because that's made just it's easier to be like a helpful and supportive friend. And so holding space, like just holding that space, and then if someone says I really need tips, I need advice, then you offer all the wisdom that you have.
Exactly. And like so we have pretty stern community guidelines if you step into our community, because it's what creates that safe container. And one of them is like, don't give unsolicited advice. Like, we're not here to fix each other. Like, we're not doing that here. I'm, being on the receiving end of unsolicited advice when you didn't ask for it can feel pretty icky sometimes, especially if you're just in a women's circle and you're sharing your heart, and then somebody's like, oh, you should do this, when it's like, wow, I wasn't actually asking for advice. And like, I know too, I was seeing like someone in our community was just even saying like, hey, people, like, I'm just sharing, I'm not looking for advice here, like, I'm just sharing my journey, because I know that by sharing my journey it empowers you, but like, please don't like put your judgments on me of what I should or shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, that's super, super important. It needs to be reiterated to society all the time, I feel like, too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, doing a self-check with yourself all the time, like, oh, am I holding space, or shit, am I offering too much advice? Like, hey, do those checks with yourself, because I think that we want to always try to fix things. I mean, that's human nature, we want to fix things, but just keeping it real with yourself.
Or when you're really feeling something, like something must be wrong. Like, no, something might not always be wrong. We might just have that day that we're feeling off. Like, it doesn't need to mean something, So it's really important. I think it's for me too. Like, I've learned that, because sometimes giving advice, it makes it about you again. Like, when like that person is like trying to share something, and then you're kind of just like making the whole conversation about you. I mean, I just know like now being a new mom, and I share something and I see people being really nice and share advice or like something. I'm like, yeah, I didn't ask for that. I just share this going through happening in my life right now, But people do it most of the time from a loving place. But I think it's a good practice to learn to just be an active listener instead of or just say like, okay, hey sister, I heard you.
I see you.
I see
you.
I love that. Yeah. So you guys, anyone who's listening, watching, please check out the Revolutionary Woman. They are a badass ancestral duo. We need more of these type of groups worldwide, but they are based in the United States, so they also do globally. So go ahead, check them out, please, please, please. Your life will be changed for sure.
Yes. Our community membership, we're actually changed from being a way higher price. We want to make it accessible for everyone, so it's $11.99 per month. Amazing. And then you get access to like all these events. We have a lot of free content, full moon ceremonies, like get to manifest together with us, and then we have another tier of want to work with us. But just like for $11.99, you get to be a part of the community, and really excited about that. So, and that's you can be anywhere in the world. So,
so perfect. Yes.
And
thank you so much.
And the site is exactly the revolutionarywoman.com.
So
I'm just gonna laugh because again, like, it's all a mess.
So you can find, so our website is right now, because we're changing platforms, so it's myrevolutionarywoman.com, but that's our website. So we are actually on Mighty Networks under the Revolutionary Woman. You can find us there, but honestly, just DM us. Like, don't be confused with links or try to search. Like, just shoot us.
We respond to DMs.
We love hearing from you too. Like, on it, and also I want to know something. We do love sharing about like our women's stories. So if you are like, or anyone out there, like if you have stories to, want to share with somebody you want to highlight, like DM us, because we will love, that's kind of like a new approach. I really want to use the platform to, share other people's voices. So if you have, a friend that you think she's doing a great job or out there in the world, just DM us for that too. So yeah.
Awesome. Hell yeah. That's what's up. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today. We appreciate you so much. And we're going to go ahead and put this on the IGTV, and we'll put their Instagram and also the episode 26 on the Conscious Kitchen podcast that you guys can listen to.
Yes.
It's always so fun talking to you, ladies.
Yeah.
It feels
Love
too
love
short.
being
It's like
here. Like, I know, I feel like we could just sit here for hours. And
we could. We could. I know. I wish.
On both both of your ladies' life transition and the new new family member.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, ladies.
Congratulations. Bye, you guys. Bye, everyone. Catch you next time. Cute. I know. I love them. Thanks, Rainy Mouse, who's tuned in right now. That was such a great, amazing episode. You know, Conscious Tea every Thursday at 11 a.m. We have a lot of programming coming up for you guys. Clubhouse tomorrow, Vegan Fashion 101. We're talking about how to veganize your closet. And then next week we have a bunch of other amazing programming happening. So hey, we're coming in hot this season. Season 4 launches May 4th. So, yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Be sure to check out the Conscious Kitchen podcast and tune in. All right, guys. Thank you guys.
All right. Bye.